So, yeah, I mean, Dex, first of all, hello. We've spoken many times
Right.
on social media.
Yeah, we have.
First time face to face.
Indeed. I've got to say, I find your videos really helpful, along with the plethora of others that do this, give up their time, give up their experience and knowledge for the betterment of the industry as a whole. I think it's admirable.
Yeah.
And like Mr. Peter says, you do it for nothing. You don't do it for pay. You don't do it to get anything back. It's just to better those out there that want to come into the industry and just see a different way of doing things.
One of my things is, I've always been there's always givers and takers in the world. I've always been a giver, and I hate people suffering, and I hate the journey that I had. I really feel quite annoyed about it, because I feel like, had I known that there were so many other routes to take, I would have chosen a different route. And a lot of people say, well, you should have done your research. I was 20 years old. The only thing I cared about at the time was girls and drinking, to be honest. And when I was, and when I was searching through, the local job page, the advert said train at this college and be an electrician. So I figured that everybody would be the thing.
All the carrot.
Yeah, exactly.
The carrot went for it, and carrot was actually rotten. No, I get it.
Oh, it didn't occur to me that there'd be different levels and different standards and different teachers and different training and different time periods and different amounts and all that kind of stuff. So that's my inspiration. But let's talk about you. So I'm just looking through what you've just texted me. So give people a bit of background to your route so far.
Yeah, sure. My route, as it were, started about 3 years ago now. No, two and a bit years ago.
Yep.
I was doing the washing up one day, bored, put on YouTube, watched a couple of vids, came across Gary at GSH, watched a couple of his vids, really enjoyed how he was portraying it and the teaching style.
Yep.
From Gary, I went on to John Ward. I found John and some of his videos. Again, fantastic guy, absolutely knowledgeable as heck. My now college friends, when I told them, this is what I do outside, I watch the likes of yourself, John, all the rest of them, is like, you're nuts. You need time to just switch off and disconnect. I'm like, no, I want this, so I want to throw myself into it and surround myself with it, because if I do that, it's more like stick, using your pebble dashing analogy from the last string you did.
Yes.
So yeah, I got the bug, as it were, talked it through with my wife, and sat down and actually talked about it logically. And I want my kids to get a trade when they grow up. They're only like 2 and 3 now, so they got years ahead of them. But I think the best way to do it is lead by example. Be the example you want others to follow.
Yeah.
Like giving back to the industry, bettering the skills and that's in there. So I did that. I'm just coming to the end of my level 3 now. After that, it's then getting out in the wide world, trying to get the experience and such. I mean, I didn't know. Well, I knew of the apprenticeship route at the time, but there was nothing concrete about the first year, because as you've said in a lot of your videos, the first year you're on an apprentice wage.
Yeah.
I wasn't entirely sure if that was still the case when you were over 21, being the national living wage now.
Yeah.
Or if that was the case, then how I could possibly make that work. I got to the end of my level 2, thinking, okay, I've got that first year out of the way. Let's try and get in on an apprenticeship. COVID hits and sort of blasted that out the water. So I thought, okay, fine. And onto level 3, been doing that for the past couple of months. Well, about 9, coming on to the sort of 9 months or so, and I've enjoyed every minute of it.
Yeah.
It's been fantastic.
So the course that you're on at the moment, you did the level 2 City and Guilds 2365.
Yep, did that one. And when it came to level 3, I got a bit of a surprise.
Yes.
Obviously, around the time I started my level 3, there was changes announced by the government on what courses they would fund and what ones they wouldn't. As it stood at the time, the 2365 at level 3 that used to be funded was being curtailed and replaced by a new course, the 8202-30.
Yeah.
Thankfully, the books that I've got covered that course as well. So I was a bit confused. I thought, oh, hang on, how is this going to look on my CV? I've got 2365 level 2. Now I've got an 8202-30 level 3. Our employer's going to know what the heck that is.
Well, this is another problem, isn't it? I mean, do employers even know what any of those numbers mean? I mean, I guess they know the main ones. They know the 2365. They know the apprenticeship one, the 5357. They may know the course that they did when they trained. But outside of that, how do they know? I mean, you can go on the City and Guilds website and you can type in the course numbers, obviously, and it will come up with your course. So it is worth looking at. But again, yeah, there's so many numbers, there's so many routes, there's so many time scales. And, one college that delivers the 2365 may do it over, I mean, how long was your 2365?
Level 2 was 1 year and the level 3 is 1 year.
Okay, and was that day release or 2.5 days?
The level 2 was done over 3 days a week. So
Yeah.
you were doing 15 hours a week, basically. And
Yeah.
the rest you could do what you liked with. I had a full-time job going at the time as well. So I was balancing the two. Going on to my level 3, I was still in my employment. I work a desk at a call centre, go figure.
Yeah.
And so I had the hours dropped down because I wasn't coping managing both at once. So my hours dropped down at work, and then that enabled me to go on to the level 3. I started in the days. My health was getting in the way a bit, so they said, "Okay, let's put you on to nights.
Yeah.
You're with like-minded people of a similar age, not
Yes.
school leavers. So it's a lot more focused. It's a lot more intense. There's a lot more reliance on you to do the work at home and to get that knowledge that you would normally be spoon-fed on one of the day courses." And
Well,
that suited me fine.
Yeah, I mean, I've spoken to people, that have done a day course, and they say obviously 16, 17-year-olds, they're not allowed to drop out of school now until they're 18. They've got to go either stay in school or be in full-time employment on an apprenticeship or something, full-time employment or something like that. They've got to be in training, haven't they, till they're 18.
Yeah.
And as you say, a lot of them, they don't know what to do at 16. I mean, I know I never did. I didn't have a clue. I did what my mate wanted to do, and I did a mechanic course at the local college because I thought, that sounds like a good idea. So, like you say, they don't know that they want to be there or what they're there for. And also, as well, I remember when I was doing that mechanics course, I was doing 1 day a week at college and 4 days a week on the job, and my flatmate was doing the full-time course during the day. And at the end of those 3 years, he didn't have a clue what he was doing. I was changing engines outside the flat, and I said, "Why don't you come and give me a hand?" And he was pointing to stuff and asking me, "Well, what does that do? How do I get that off? How's this work?" And in the end, I was like, "You're slowing me down." I've got to get.
Yeah, learn by doing, but don't slow me down, kind of thing.
Yeah. So I mean, that for me, when I talk about the diploma route and I talk about the apprenticeship route, I've been queried as to whether I'm pro apprenticeship. I am to a point because I can personally, I've seen the difference. Okay, I've seen the difference. I've spoken to people that have told me the difference between those full-time courses or whatever. Well, I mean, how was it for you? I mean, what was your opinion on the difference between people that are there full-time but quite young, maybe not mature enough for that, and the guys that are retraining later in life and really want it? What was the difference? Is that true, what I'm saying?
I found there was definitely a lot more focus on the evening classes because you were around similar peers. Evening classes tend to be for the adults. That's how they explained it to me.
Yeah.
And your morning classes or your daytime classes, you've got your school leavers and those that are just coming into the next stage of their education. With the morning lot, it's something that they have to do because you've now got to be you have to be in education now until you're 18.
That's it.
So for a lot of them, it's something you have to do. So I think some of them were like, "I've got to do this, fine, grit my teeth and just try and go through it." Because you'd know the ones.
Their parents up.
You know the ones because you hear them, that lecturers up front doing what they're doing. They're not liking their learning style, so they're in the back chattering and talking away and all the rest of it. And you think, shut up, just be courteous, shut up, listen, and just do it. If you don't want to learn, there's the door. But of course, I know lecturers aren't allowed to really take that approach, which sucks.
No, we've got to
get so improve things.
Yeah. because we, as a lecturer, I mean, there's a lot of pressure to get everyone through. When they sign up, obviously you're drawing funding for that. Okay, so the college obviously need that money to survive. You may have, I don't know how many was in your class, Dex?
In the day class, I think there was 20 odd.
Okay, so over 20 students, which is it's a lot of people to teach, and if any of those drop off the course, you lose funding. So effectively, you're losing money. Okay, and you can't afford to keep the place running. So the ethos is very much on keeping them engaged, keeping them there, even if they don't want to be, because you need to get them to the end of the course. And again, I know from personal experience that because you're drawing on taxpayers' money, you have to prove that you've, beyond all reasonable doubt, that you've done your absolute best to keep them on program, okay, and support them all the way through, no matter what they're going through. Which I accept. I'm happy to help anybody. These guys, we end up becoming good friends, and we talk them through all their life's problems and all that kind of stuff. And it's quite. It takes a certain person to do it, I feel. But again, at 16, 17. I get the feeling that a lot of them don't really want to be there, and they take the school classroom attitude with them. We have some 16, 17-year-olds, and they're lovely guys, don't get me wrong, but you can really see the difference between them and the older guys. And this is where I think the industry and government need to invest their money better. I mean, what's the point in flogging a 16, 17-year-old who's only doing it to shut everybody up and because they're being told to do it, or supporting a career changer that is passionate and wants to do it, and they want to do it for the right reasons, and they want to be the best they can be, and they want to be an asset to the industry rather than just a day job, for money, for beer money for the weekend. And I definitely think that something needs to be changed. And I've got a video coming out on it, hopefully soon. I've given it a lot of thought about how I believe it could work, and everybody could win. School leavers still stay in school. They just don't go on this course. There's another course that they do. And the people that go through this course, there's options, and I feel it might tick a few boxes. But I mean, you obviously strike me, again, this is the first time we've spoken, from the conversation that we've had and the message that you've sent me. I mean, I'm reading down your list of stuff now that you're doing, and I love the way that you come across, Dex. I mean, you're really articulate with the way that you talk. You're doing it all for all the right reasons. You want to lead by example. You're putting in the effort. You're reading the books. You're watching the videos. You're doing it out of college, because you want it. You're hungry for it. You then also said to me as well that after this, there's progression, which you understand. So again, you want to do the 2382, the 2391, the 2396, the 2377, the 2919, the 2399. The 18th edition. There's so much there that you're looking to do. Fire detection and alarm systems as well. I mean, that just goes to show how much you're enjoying what you're doing, I think.
Well, I'm not disillusioned. I have a disability, so mobility-wise, I'm limited to doing the sort of stuff that you would do as an apprentice, as an entry level, crawling the enclosed spaces, getting tight cupboards. I can do it, but I will suffer for it physically.
Yeah.
So the way I look at it is, the more knowledge I have, I can be an asset, as you say, in a different way. I don't see this as just being an electrician.
Yeah.
I treat it bigger than that.
Yeah.
We've got fire detection, we've got CCTV, we've got networking. You name it, we pretty much do it. So somewhere, I think I will fit into the system somewhere.
Well, I'll tell you what, the thing I love about this industry, and this is the bit of a speech that I give all the guys on the first day they're there. I say, industry is massive. This qualification that you're doing now is just a doorway into a big industry. Okay, and off of that, there is all these other courses, and I talk for all those courses you've pointed out. And I say this industry is big enough for all of you. It doesn't matter if you're good on the tools. If you're good on the tools, you can be an installer. That's fine. Some people, you'll love the paperwork. okay, and you'll go off and do the design, or you're doing certification, inspection and testing. You may go and work in a nuclear power plant. You may go and work in commercial, industrial, domestic. There's a broad breadth and range, but it all starts here, okay? And as you go through this, you may change your mind about where you go. I never thought I'd be teaching, if I'm honest with you. I couldn't have thought of anything worse at the age of 20. And yet here I am. I never thought I'd have my own business, but I made it and I employed people. It wasn't for me. But, I made a business last. I started my company in 2005. I closed it in 2018 just because I wanted to progress into something else. I haven't walked away from the trade. I've just progressed.
Yeah, we're all on a journey. The end goal is the same, to do what you enjoy doing and do it for the betterment of others.
Yeah.
Be that you're putting a light in someone's loft, or you're making the garden look beautiful with garden lighting and stuff. Or it could just be that you're doing something that you enjoy and people are benefiting from that while you're doing something you enjoy,
No, absolutely. So just quickly as well, you said obviously you dropped onto online training through COVID as well. I know we've recently done that, and that was tough. That was tough. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that have gone through that as well. I mean, what was your experience?
Mine was, if you ask one of my classmates, they would say completely different, but mine was all right. I did okay with it. As you mentioned, I've got the book, so I've got Big Blue, I've got the on-site guide, I've got the course books that go with this course, and I found them to be great help, especially when the teaching style or the teacher was lacking in something that I wasn't engaging with. I could go, right, okay, I don't get that, but I'll find it elsewhere.
Yeah.
And it felt all right. But I think if you've not got the initiative to go out on your own and do the learning off your own back, to put that time in addition to what you do in the college, I don't think you'd be in the same position. I don't think you'd find the experience as easy as I did.
No, but I can echo. I can echo that from my own experience, because as a tutor, I try to put as much in as possible, but there's only so much enthusiasm you can get through a screen. When I'm in the classroom and that, and I've got the guys and I'm walking around and I'm keeping them herded like little sheep, keeping them motivated, that's easy. But through a screen, it's very difficult. So I could see them switching off or looking out the window, and I would call them in, such and such. What do you think about that? And I would do my best to keep them engaged. And they'd complain, I'm really struggling, sir. Through the screen, it's really difficult. And I'd be like, look, I get it. But if you want to get the most out of this, you need to take control of this. And if there's something you don't understand, you need to go and find it, make it happen. And most of them, and they did that. And you could see the ones that weren't doing it or weren't trying, and you could see them slowly slipping behind the others. And in my exam results, it showed. The ones that I could see weren't putting in enough effort, they might have failed or just barely got through or didn't get the results that they should have got. The ones that really pushed themselves, and they were meeting up on the weekends and in evenings to go over it outside of college hours as a group, those guys got distinctions, and they're flying. Now, it doesn't matter what lecturer you put in front of them. If the lecturer's not doing their job properly, do you know what? Those guys will just take it upon themselves to go and sort it out, And I know you're part of the Sparky Ninja Discord group as well. So, you get a lot of wealth of knowledge from there as well, I feel.
Yeah, the guys on there are fantastic. You had Lawrence on your last one. And the guys in there are fantastic. Pretty much every night there's a different topic being discussed. Yeah. And it's an open forum to everyone. So it's not just one thing. If you're struggling with something or you want to know about something, start up the chat and people drop in, they join in. Ideas get put all around and people benefit from it because you're talking to peers and you're doing peer discussion rather than like you see on the Facebook groups and such that you tend to find online, people being slated for not knowing X, not Y, or doing something in the way, and the other guys are jumping on and going, "Oh, that's amateurish, that's rubbish, that's horrible." But what they don't know is that could be the first time the person has done that.
Yeah.
And to them, it might look amazing compared to what it looked like before they started.
Yes. That ties in beautifully with something I saw on Facebook the other day. There's this guy, I'm hoping to have a chat with him. He did the domestic installer route. But he was saying, look, I don't know everything. I'm doing everything like this. I'm doing, you know, I've put in loads of effort. I've done loads of CPD. I may not have done an apprenticeship, but I'm the real deal, pretty much, is what he's saying. You know, and I'm good at my job, and I'm hoping to get him on this so we can have a chat with it. And I agree with him. You know, the industry shouldn't be elitist. You know, everybody should have a fair entry into it. My only question is that everybody should be measured by the same stick, receive the same level of training, and we're all the same ability at the end. We're not so much ability, sorry, they've had the same choices, and measured to the same stick, whereas at the moment we haven't. That's my only gripe. But I think that anybody looking to build their knowledge and seek CPD should be, you know, rewarded and supported, you know, as much as possible. And I've got no problem with anyone, you know, like I was talking to Lee last night, who did the domestic installer course. He realizes that domestic installer course wasn't enough. It lacked content, you know, it lacked stuff. But instead of just going off on his ignorant way and just carrying on, he has then taken it upon himself to think, you know what, there's further training here. I need to do more. And I don't just want to do it badly. I want to do it well. And I'm going to make that happen. And I can't support people like that enough. You know, that is what I'm all about. So,
no, I'm with you.
I mean, talking to you, Dex, is reassuring as well, because again, you know, we've spoken many times. You obviously tell people to watch my videos. I get that all the time. You tag me in as well, you know, which I really appreciate. Because again, I just want my videos to help, but it's really great to put a face to the name. And you know, I hope we keep this going.
You'll always be rewarded, and things like the videos you do, especially on the AM2, because until that, I've had no idea what the AM2 was, what it looked like, what it entailed. I'm not massively sure on the whole difference between the AM2, AM2S, AM2E. My understanding prior to it was that the AM2 is the benchmark. But now you've got three varieties of this benchmark. How can it be a benchmark?
Well,
you either doing that or you're not.
Yeah, so I'll explain it to you. The AM2 is the old standard, okay? And there wasn't any containment in that. So now the AM2S has a small amount of containment. So it's exactly the same exams. The content's exactly the same, but there's an addition. So there's a bit of plastic bending to do, and there's a bit of steel bending to do. That's the only difference. The AM2E is for the experienced workers, and that is exactly the same as the AM2S. So the standard across everything is exactly the same. It's just that the S has got a bit of containment added in. That's all it is.
It just didn't quite add up for me. You say it's the gold standard, and then you've got three things that are effectively the same thing, but with a bit more. Then how can it be the gold standard if you've got that one with a bit more than the rest? But I get why.
Yeah, well, I think they're moving on from the AM2. It's going to become the AM2S. So the AM2 is only available for people that did their qualification before a certain date. Okay, so there's a cut-off period. Anyone that's then started their training after that period is now enrolled on the AM2S. Okay, and then if you look through NET's paperwork, yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question. So I'll just put it up here so that we're not just sort of stabbing in the dark and people know what I'm looking at. So I'm looking at the AM2E supplementary unit. And it says here, if you are completing the experienced worker assessment and have already passed the AM2, you will only have to undertake a supplementary AM2E unit rather than the whole assessment. The unit to be completed depends on when the original AM2 was passed. So if it was before 2010, you will have to do a testing and safe isolation supplementary unit. If it was after April 2010, you've also then got to do the containment and safe isolation supplementary unit. Some assessments in 2010 were carried out after the April changeover, but as part of NET's checks during the application process, it will be confirmed which unit you'll need to carry out. So it sounds like they're not chasing people up. It's only if you then want to upgrade your AM2 so that you get covered. Maybe they'll change it later on, that your gold card, if you want to keep your gold card, you need to do the AM2E unit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to email NET and I'm going to find out about that actually.
Well, they're on Twitter now, so you can pick them up on there.
Yeah. So for people that are listening, obviously have a look into that. Maybe call Net up and sort of see what they say. But I'll follow that up as well. Kind of. I mean, again, people say that I'm pro apprenticeship rather than diploma route. Again, that's not strictly true. The only reason I'm pro apprenticeship is because if you can afford the pay cut, all your stuff gets paid for you, and
Yeah.
paid for. Plus, you're doing 4 days a week on the job, so you're learning on the tools at the same time, which is invaluable. Whereas people that I talk to that have done the diploma route, they're looking at sort of 7.5, 8 grand, and 5 years later, it's still not completed. But then the main reason that I'm not so keen on the diploma route, I mean, obviously people need to decide what works for them, is struggling to get a job. A lot of people do that diploma course and then they cannot seem to find a job. And I'm trying to work out what that is. I mean, there's another guy that I'm going to have a chat with who runs a training provider, who delivers the 2365. And he says, you know, people can get jobs as electricians' mates for £16 an hour. But from my experience and who I've spoken to, that's not as simple as that. So again, that's another conversation I'm going to have with him. But I mean, what's your experience of trying to find a job after doing these routes?
I have difficulties from two angles. One, the actual getting in the door and getting the experience. You know, that is universal to everyone.
Yeah.
The issue I have, well, I wouldn't say an issue, I'm trying to spin it, but because I've got a disability, they're not really paying that much attention. Even though I try and spin it, you know, I say, yes, I've got a disability. It doesn't affect me as a person. I can do the work. Look at it from your business point of view. As a business, you are employing someone with a disability. In the community, that will reflect better on you because you're there quite literally an equal employee's employer.
Yeah.
Because you're taking everyone in. I mean, I get this trade isn't for everyone. There is a certain amount of manual work involved, and I will give that my bloody best shot. But it's just putting that on there as well, sort of like it's just another hurdle. But you know, I accept that.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, I guess they can't discriminate against you for your disability. It's whether you can do the work range that they require you to do, isn't it? Because they'd have to be very careful what they're discriminating you against. How does your disability affect you, Dex? Because there must be other people that have got disabilities that would like to get into a trade or experience what you're doing. And for them listening and watching, maybe they're trying to gauge where their abilities may be and what's involved. So, I mean, how does it affect you, do you think? How would it affect you to do this job?
Well, I had cerebral palsy as a child, and that as a condition affects sort of development and the way the body grows and the way the muscles interact with each other.
Okay.
So I could do putting up trunking for an hour and be absolutely shattered by the end of it, whereas a normal bodied person could do it for 2, 3, 4 hours.
Yeah.
And it's just little things like that. If I'm doing a task and I can be supported, you know, like now, if I'm working in work, I've got a suitable position, I've got a rise and fall desk and all the rest of it to make the work bearable.
Yes.
And you know, I have no issue doing the work. You know, I think it takes me back to one of the David Savory videos where he was taking the mick out of Nigel on that pop-up stool.
Oh,
I don't know if you saw that one.
No, I didn't see that.
One of the accordion stools into place. I've got one of them that I take around with me because I find that works. You can sit down, you're doing the testing, so it's being able to do work and the tools to do it. Yeah.
Nigel's the guy that works with me. Yeah. I mean, I've got to be honest with you, Dex. I mean, you've been in what was it? Telephone something or other, wasn't it? Call center. That's it. That's the word I was looking for. Has he been on a call center, so at a desk for how long?
Come on, 5 years.
5.
Yeah.
5 years. Now, I can tell you from experience, again, you know, when I was on the tools, I was fit as a fiddle. I was up and down. I could work all day. I'd be tired in the evening, you know, especially if it's been a long day. But, you know, I had muscle definition. I was slim as anything. I was fine. I've had a desk job now for 2 years, okay? And especially over lockdown, where I didn't even leave my house. I was literally at this desk teaching every day. I would struggle on the tools myself now. You know, I really would, especially with my levels of fitness. I would have to get it up. So again, would you be able to build up that level of fitness, or is it something that is out of the question?
I'd say it's mid-ground. Part of the issue that I have is the medication that I'm on probably wouldn't make me fit to be on a construction site.
Right. Okay.
It has the side effects can be like if you're drunk, it will be that sort of thing. So until my pain is in a level that I can cope with without medication, then it kind of puts it off.
Got you.
But as I say, I've got the other avenues I can go down.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking. I mean, what could we? I mean, what could possibly be open to? I mean, obviously, testing and inspection isn't as strenuous, depending on the size of the properties. If you're going around doing domestic, I mean, they're small, reasonable. You could sit down for quite a bit of it. I mean, that would work, would it?
Yeah, that would work. I mean, as a fallback, one of the things I mentioned was doing the fire detection and alarm systems, mainly because that's generally a lot of servicing. So you're at a panel, you're sat or stood in more or less one place doing it all from there. So, and the work isn't as strenuous as a daily jobbing electrician running in new circuits and all the rest of it, because a lot of it is already done for you because of the way people do the contracts. You'll have one body in, another one in it, and another one maintaining it. So somewhere along the line.
Well, I mean, I was going to say, what are you like up and down a ladder? But again, the guys that I see testing our smoke alarm systems, they just have a pole with a smoker on the end of it. They don't even get up onto the ladder anymore when they're doing the maintenance. You know, they're just purely testing it from floor level. So, yeah, I mean, again, there's definitely something you can do, isn't there? Definitely. The industry's so big. You've got the right spirit. So hopefully somebody watching this video will look at you, see how articulate you are, see that you want it, that you're hungry, and the amount of effort that you've put in, the sacrifices you've made, because obviously you dropped your hours down so you could still do the college. You then went to evening classes so you could still do the college. You know, all these sacrifices you made to the right employer, that would be gold dust. Because I've tried employing people. I've employed 6 or 7 people in my time. Finding good employees that are loyal, hardworking, trustworthy, polite and courteous, and turn up on time, punctual, is almost impossible in my experience, which is why I gave up in the end. So the fact that you care about your level and what you're doing, that's got to be worth it to someone. So if there are any employers out there, give this guy a call and see what you can do together. Is there anything you'd like to say, or is there anything that you feel would be good for an employer watching this?
Not necessarily an employer, but I think it's a worthy thing to know. When I decided that this was what I wanted to do, and I was going to start on the level 2 and follow it all the way through, the one thing I did that really drove me to, this is what I want to do. This is going to be it for me. I actually went out and bought some kits. So, bought my own hand tools, thinking that, the more you use them, the better you'll get with them, as with anything.
Yeah. Same
with MFT, MFT, not knowing how the hell to use it to start with, but the more you use it, the better you get with it.
Yeah.
And again, with the book, so Big Blue, the on-site guide, the guidance notes, getting them, learning to navigate them, learning to actually appreciate what they are and how they work. Again, the more exposure, the better you get at it. At least that's how I've approached it. And, I'm still doing it. To my left, I've quite literally got a test rig that I'm currently butchering at the moment. Hell, why not? Yeah. Not the prettiest thing, but, does the job.
Yeah, you're working your way through it and getting used to it.
I've got the bits there to do the repetition, to get the muscle memory, to get the fluidity there.
Yes.
And as you say, to the right employer, skills like that where you're so determined, you want to go and do something, and you'll do something to make sure that happens. Could be a good point for them. Then again, they could look at it on the flip side and think the guy's nuts, which could be a good thing. Working with customer relations, if you can make them laugh.
Yeah, I definitely don't think you're nuts. Let's put it that way. I think you're solid and commendable. I really do. And we need more people like you in the industry. We really do. All these people that want to slate everyone online and tell them how crap they are and tell them what they should know. I always feel that they should look at themselves first. I always try and look at myself first. How I know my own failings. That's a good thing about reflecting upon yourself. I know I'm not the best electrician. I know that my technical ability, there's people that far exceed mine. But what I do have is I care. I want to do the best job for people, and I want to install it properly. And I won't cut corners, no matter what costs to myself. You know, the amount of times I've stayed late till late at night to get the job finished, to get the power on, and losing money and knowing that I'm losing money doing it, but I never cut a corner because I wanted it to be right and I wanted to put my name to it. Now, these are my qualities. You know, researching stuff. You know, I've only been in the training industry 2 years, but I'm reading stuff constantly so I can try and learn it, which is why I'm also then trying to help people at home that are looking to get into these courses. Because as I'm going through it, I'm thinking, well, people need to know this stuff. You know, people, because if they know this, they can make informed decisions. That's my ability. So everyone's got strengths and weaknesses, and we just need to make the best of them, don't we? So you know, that's good. Right, I'm conscious obviously of the time, and I know my dinner's ready. I can smell it downstairs, and it has been for about half hour. So I know you've probably got to get on as well. You've got children. Dex, let's have another chat at some point in the future. We'll put this video out. We'll see how it goes. We'll keep in contact, and you know, anything that I can do to help you, I'm absolutely here to help to support people that want it, such as yourself. You know, that's what I'm here for. That's what I enjoy doing.
Well, thanks. I say it's people like you that, you know, make the good parts of this industry worth it. You know, you hear so many saying the electrical industry is this, it's that, it's the other, but then you get people like yourself, Gary, fucking Ninja, and John Ward, and all the rest of them that are just sharing all the knowledge just for nothing in particular.
Yeah.
You know, just to get it out there to better those around them.
Well, it was the E5 group that made me realise I wasn't alone in my thoughts about how I care about the industry. Sparky Ninja, when he did that thing, obviously, with the 18th edition training and did it all for free, I mean, I learned so much from that, watching that video. And equally, GSH Electrical, I mean, I had conversations with Gary. I was like, Gary, look, I'm thinking about going into teaching. You know, what do you think? And Gary was really supportive of all that, you know, and he inspired me. And this is honest, like Gary and Joe inspired me to want to give it a go. Because again, when I started, my ability wasn't the best. I've had to push myself to learn everything, to get myself to a level now where I feel like I'm just starting to get the first year. You know, next year I would polish the first year and I'll feel really confident the first year, and then I'm going to be looking forward to the second year and getting that ready, you know, and it's going to be a constant progression. You know, 10 years down the line I'll be absolute mustard at this job. But it's going to take 10 years to get there.
Yeah, I mean, that's the sort of timeline I've given me to get to gold card standard. I figure it ain't going to happen overnight. It is going to take time, and I can't really have my kids working for me until they're of apprentice age. So give myself 10, 15 years, and I should be there, or at least in a place where I like to be.
Yeah,
and I have my kids working for me. So, you know.
But worst case scenario, you'll start in that direction, see another direction and carry in that direction, and eventually you'll get to where you're supposed to be. And that's the thing I love about life. You know, you never know the journey. You just, when you get there, you think, I'm here, I made it.
Yeah.
My wife used to say, you know, God, she's quite religious, God writes straight with crooked lines, and that basically is what that is. You know, you never know what the destination is, but you get there eventually, you know, by hook or by crook. Right, great to talk to you, Dex. You have a lovely evening, and we'll speak soon.
You too, Squire. Take care.
You too. Take care.